you really, you got to go ask Monica right there in the burgundy coat. I feel like this is in the start of my classroom. I'm waiting for that clock to hit 7. All right, well, you're all staring at me, so I think I can get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, certainly, to the ACF gathering here from March, and welcome to HACC. I like to call it the most phenomenal community college here in central Pennsylvania. Hopefully, you were able to tour around, see a few things. We had Chef Long with Victoria out there with the fried rice station doing cooking that up here. We had Affinity Group and David from Smithfield Culinary providing all of the different pizza products as well as the charcuterie items. In the new demo classroom, we had the pastry students put together some desserts they made in class today, as well as ice creams, different dessert sauces. So hopefully you got a chance to stroll around. Also throughout our individual area, we set up some form of a ACF open house as well for our specific chapter. So you'll notice there is a table on certification. If you don't know Michael Herrens, right over here, raise his hand. If you're interested. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. That was because this is the first time this year Michael's been at a meeting. Woo! Sorry, getting excited. In any event, he is here for, what's that? I know. He is here. And if anyone is interested in certification, that is the individual to talk to. We have tons of handouts out there. I know what we're like. We need a contact. So Michael is that person to talk to. We have all different stations set up so that you could see what our chapter is about, get engaged, and just talk with others. So hopefully you got a chance this afternoon, evening. I think an hour and a half was a good bit of time. Looked like everyone really leisurely enjoyed themselves. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and officially get the meeting started if there is such a motion. So moved. Second. Thank you. All those in favor of getting the meeting started, vote by saying aye. Any opposed? The door is, no, I'm just kidding. All right. Any opposed? All right. We'll go ahead and officially start. Again, welcome to you all. We do have a few things to do. Initially, we have the culinary code that Victoria is going to read for us. Victoria is one of our culinary arts students, but super proudly is also a high school student. And you're in what grade of high school?
I'm in my junior year.
She is her junior year in culinary too. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm pretty sure she's gonna walk across our aisle before that high school aisle. So I'm really, really excited to see you go, graduate and earn your degree. So I'm really excited. I went around and asked a couple students. She came up and really wanted to read this culinary code very proudly today. So please, let's give her a round of applause of encouragement.
Thank you so much. I pledge my professional knowledge and skill to the advancement of our profession and to pass it on to those who are to follow. I shall foster a spirit of courteous consideration and fraternal cooperation within our profession. I shall place honor in the standing of our profession before personal advantage. I shall not use unfair means to affect my professional advancement or to injure the chances of another colleague to secure and hold employment. I shall be fair, courteous, and considerate in my dealings with fellow colleagues. I shall conduct any necessary comment on or criticism of the work of fellow colleagues with careful regard to the good name and dignity of the culinary profession, and will scrupulously refrain from criticism to gain personal advantage. I shall never expect anyone to subject himself to risk, which I would not be willing to assume myself. I shall help to protect all members against one another from within our profession. I shall be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as I am about our own. I shall be too big for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the pressure of business to hurt anyone, with or without the profession.
Right. Thank you. And as you can see, I printed the extra long version for her, which was changed about a decade and a half ago, but that was fantastic. So thank you, thank you. All right, and Chef Reese, may you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I would recommend, does anybody see a flag? May we use this? To the Republic, to the flag of the United States of America, and to the Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Okay, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our educational presentation tonight, and then we will continue on with the rest of our meeting. So please put your hands together and welcome David Goldstein.
First, thank everybody for having both Affinity and myself here tonight. We really appreciate it. I love ACF, and when I get a chance to visit another chapter other than my own, it's a treat. It's a treat for me. So again, thank you for having me tonight, and we all appreciate being here. I just want to do one quick thing before I get into tonight's topic, which will be some history and fun facts about dry sausage and more in depth on pepperoni. I just want to ask anybody who's in culinary school, please stand up. All right. Okay. Anyway, is that it for culinary students? That's great. Now, anybody who's now stay up, I can tell you to sit down yet. All the culinary students stand up. If you're a gentleman, yeah, please sit down. Prove something. Maybe you should sit down now, but there was one gentleman and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 young ladies. The reason why I'm pointing that out is 3 times a year Smithfield does research. We do research all the time, and one of the things that they're doing is they're trying to teach, trying to help our industry. When we do these promotions, the most recent one is called Generation Eats. And we did a whole study and presented facts about what are the different generations eating. The current one that we're in is called She Brings the Heat. And you'll see some brochures up here. You'll see a poster right over there. And it shows a young lady, a chef, and we went around the country and we interviewed chefs. We went to culinary schools and we asked how many students are ladies. And what we're finding out is in the 1980s, when I was in culinary school, I was in my early 20s, I was the youngest one in my class. We had 2 female students out of 24. Today, in the same culinary school, 50% are women. And more chefs are women, and more food and beverage directors and people in our industry. And we're taking note of that, and we're seeing what they do and how they contribute. And it's a big change in the industry, but it's a good change. So anyway, hopefully you can hear me. We just want to recognize that and let you all know this is going on. For those of you who have a business, there's rebates, things that are associated with it. But either way, it's great to learn about what's going on in the industry. And it's great to see what's going on and how different people, groups are impacting, how we eat and how we work in the food industry. So I just wanted to present that to you, and I'd like to know about it. That's just a little side thing. And I think it's really good information, and I hope that some of you do too. Now, pepperoni and dry sausage. There's a lot to know, and years ago in the restaurant business that I was in, I served a lot of pepperoni. And I didn't have an Italian restaurant, and I didn't have a pizzeria, but I loved pepperoni, and I made flatbreads, and we could make pizza, but I used it in a lot of different ways. And one of the things we used to do is put it out. We had a big bar, and during happy hour, we would put out these beautiful charcuterie platters, no charge. People could come up, take some charcuterie, put a mixed fruit tag, and what I would do is if there was stuff in the back that I didn't use, or always was, leftover vegetables, that would go in the soup. Well, what do I do with all this leftover pepperoni? And I only did that a few nights a week. So I started using it as an ingredient. And what I found was pepperoni is a great addition to recipes. So tonight we're going to show you an original recipe from a famous Courthouse Eatery and Tavern, Chef's Restaurant, that we came up with called Pepperoni Alfredo. We used to do it just as is, with shrimp or with chicken, or sometimes with crab meat. We run these specials. There's a catering version of it over here, but we used to do it all on the menu, and you'll get a chance to see that recipe. A couple of fun facts about pepperoni. Americans consume 250 million pounds of pepperoni a year. And that statistic was 2019 and prior. The consumption actually went up, especially during COVID. 350 to 360 tons a day of pepperoni are distributed and consumed. Excluding cheese, pepperoni is the #1 pizza topping in the United States. Pepperoni Day, and there is a Pepperoni Day, September 20th. In 1994, when the internet first became live and really started to develop, pepperoni was one of the first condiments that became very popular and ordered a lot online on the internet. Pepperoni has a 36 to 40% share of all condiments sold. So 4 or 5 almost, really 4 out of every 10 pieces are pepperoni pizza. And the next closest is 1. The #1 is plain cheese and then pepperoni. Pepperoni typically gets its bright red color from paprika. Good herbs and spices help to make a better pepperoni, and in addition, pepperoni is made traditionally with pork and beef. Just a side note, the national average in manufacturing is 95% pork and 5% beef. The better pepperoni, though, should have more beef. So for instance, the pepperoni that you're going to taste here, we have an average of 18 to 20% beef for our pepperoni. We don't need as much paprika, and there's certain solutions and certain extracts that are used that help brighten up the color. We don't do that. Another thing, years ago, when pepperoni was made, pepperoni was typically made with fresh ingredients such as garlic and fresh herbs. Today, our company's still doing that. Several others are, but most, I'd say 90%, are using completely dehydrated. And there's nothing wrong with dry spices and herbs. They're very good. But when you're making something that's really rich like pepperoni, you want the flavor to stand out. Fresh garlic cannot be replaced. And there's a difference. We have a slide presentation here for you. So typically, the flow and process of dry sausage, which is the category that pepperoni is raw materials are pre-ground. And then we make a formulation and we mix everything up. The ingredients are heated and treated and then fermented, and then a final grind, stuff, and then we dry and package it. Now this just doesn't happen in one afternoon. Depending on the width of the pepperoni, such as we make pepperoni with big sticks, sandwiches, and then we make pepperoni in smaller sticks in the supermarket. Get those done in 15 to 20 days. The other sticks could take 45 to 60, depending on what you're making in the process. Next slide. Here you see the raw materials that are ground and blended with the spices and the other ingredients, and they're done in big vats, and they're turned. It's almost like a giant mixer, and it's just terrific the way they do this. And then you'll see over here the vacuum stuffing machines and how the pepperoni goes into the casings, and that goes for all dry sausage. So whatever sausage we're making at that time, that's how we like the salamis, the Genoa. That's how it's done. Okay, and then
Chef, any idea how much that holds? Like some have made salami and sausages in here. Any idea how big that vat is? How much meat it
they
would
can
hold?
make anywhere from 4 to 8, 9,000 pound batches. But we typically make smaller batches and get them done and go on to the next batch because they report. So the United States Department of Agriculture is always on premises. They always have meat inspectors. We always have our own safety and health inspectors that we employ. And we produce the safest, most wholesome product. So sometimes the old theory, less is more, is important because if there's a problem, you don't do it on too big a batch. That is consistency and safety and batch. So here you see, and I love this, the state-of-the-art process to control fermentation in the cooking process, the smoking process, natural or the use of liquid smoke. So 99% today is liquid smoke. We still have smoke out. They're still smoking about 90 of everything we make. There's certain products that don't adapt well to smoking that really shouldn't be, because it's not what people expect. Good example is a cooked product. We do certain products that are technically not dry sausage, such as mortadella, but you would smoke. And then products stay in the dry rooms up to 6 weeks, depending on the item, the diameter, like I just said. And that's because of moisture. So you're trying to get the proper moisture to protein ratio. And that is achieved by drying and time. You crush this. Now, there are some companies today that have figured out by using certain additives and chemicals how to speed up that process. We choose not to do that. Oh, well, there's one last thing on that last slide, but you don't have to go back. Time and temperature. Every room has to meet a certain temperature guideline, drying rooms. So we really pay attention to the temperature and the moisture in the air. You can't have it too humid, you can't have it too dry either. It's got to be set just right. So pepperoni stats, 250 million pounds consumed annually, and that's actually gone up. And it says 36% of pizzas ordered are pepperoni. That's actually gone up. So, brief history of pepperoni, and I love this. My grandfather came in 1920 to the United States to Ellis Island. My other side of the family came in the late 1880s and 1890s. Before Ellis Island, when Ellis Island first opened up, and typically when people came from Ellis Island, they went to the lower east side of New York. It was a neighborhood that was about 30 times bigger back then than Little Italy was so little. And in that area, the lower east side, and really throughout New York and the boroughs, what was there at the time, a lot of Italian immigrants settled, as well as immigrants that were Irish, German, and Scandinavian. Italian immigrants brought a love of sausage making and finding the local ingredients that they could get their hands on. So something that we had a lot of peppers here in the States. Peppers actually come from North America. So we had pepper flakes, like make up these new types of sausage that they whipped up, put together right here. And pepperoni was invented. The first mention of pepperoni, according to different publications, was either around 1910 or 12, and then it's documented in the Library of Congress in 1914. Talking about this Italian sausage called pepperoni on the Lower East Side of New York. Couple of facts. Pepperoni loosely translates to bell peppers, and again, because we had an abundance of bell peppers as an ingredient, that was an ingredient used in making the Italian-style dry sausage here. Similar to spicy Southern Italian salami, so pepperoni is similar to that in terms of its grind, but again, the ingredients are a little different, and they tend to make it a little finer, and it's a little softer. Most pepperoni is mass-produced with an artificial casing. In the old days, the original days, you would get a natural casing. The amount of pepperoni that's consumed today, you don't have enough livestock to produce the casing that's needed. I want to show you something. At the turn of the century, they would have sticks which are connected by string and put in casings. And these sticks are the original style of pepperoni. It's a very old recipe, an old margarita recipe, fresh garlic, fresh herb. What's nice about this is this takes you back in time. It's very authentic, very old style of pepperoni. You go to supermarkets and see them individually sold. It's a beautiful product. When you cut this, it's delicious. For cooking, whatever you want. Years ago, when they made the original flatbreads, pizzas, and the brick ovens, and the coal-fired ovens, they had this. This is what they cut and put on the pies. In the old days, throughout the country, when pepperoni was used, pepperoni would cup up. Cup char is not new. It's actually very old because when you had it in the casing, that caused the cupping effect. Years later, when companies started to mass produce the sliced pepperoni, they peeled it. Somebody discovered that the pepperoni doesn't cup up when you pick it. Let it sit for an duration firm up, pull more moisture out of it, maybe slice it, put it in the bags. Have some over here, different styles. And we call that lay flat or performance pepperoni. So when pizza shops serve what is mostly consumed, about 90% of all pepperoni consumed is some type of performance or lay flat. It's just a little side note. The company ensuring pepperoni, though, is actually very old and very original. Today, we make that in a different way than just cutting it into pieces. All right, our pepperoni. So it's a blend of pork and beef seasoned with crushed red pepper, paprika, hung and dried, aged for weeks, depending on the size diameter. All right, so the breakdown. You have traditional, which may curl a little bit, it may char a little bit, spicier, patented profile, and we just list some of the most popular margarita styles. You'll notice it says 14 and 16 count. God bless you. So pepperoni, kind of like bacon. Like bacon, you get an 18, 22 count, you can get a 14, 18, we make a 16. But in the pepperoni world, we make a 7 to 9. And that's 7 to 9 slices per ounce. That's 14, 16. These little delicious little flat things weigh very light. They're very light. So a bunch of these together weigh per portion 1 ounce. So beef. Let's talk about that for a second. We make it all beef pepperoni. It's gaining popularity. There are a lot of people who come to this country now in the last 30, 40 years. And what those people enjoy is eating, following their religious beliefs, their diets. They don't eat pork, they don't eat shellfish. So for people who are halal or kosher, the beef pepperoni is a great way to have pepperoni. It's a richer flavor. A lot of the pepperoni made that is all beef tends not to be quite as spicy, but it does have a really rich flavor to it. Milder spice profile. Then we have cup and char. So cup and char will get black on the edges, very popular in upstate New York, very popular in parts of Ohio and around the Great Lakes, especially as where the Great Lakes border into the northeast of New England. That area loves its cup and char. Buffalo, I think, is probably the #1 area, although now I see it in New York City in my travels. I cover 6, 7 states. So I'm seeing in New York, I'm seeing in Philadelphia, more and more pizza shops are now using it in places that serve pepperoni. Very popular. The one thing is, they like this, especially younger people, it tends to be a little spicy, more flavorful. It cups up the grease that would actually run off. When you have a performance pepperoni, it doesn't cup up, it doesn't hold the fat. Cupping pepperoni holds its fat. It holds inside of the pepperoni itself. Oh, and on the bottom, what makes it cup up? So it's the casing, and the casing is usually added dextrose, and it's a collagen type of casing, which is a vegetable casing. And those particular kind of casings really help to produce that cupping effect that people really want. So we add a little dextrose, produce a vegetable casing. About 98% of the industry has gone that way. So that's So, flavor profiles. You can buy pepperoni in a mild, spicy, medium. Most pepperoni sold as a medium profile. Like I said, certain pepperonis, like the old beef, tend to be milder. And then if something is going to be spicier, the cup and char tends to be spicier. And then we sell what we call a spicy version of pepperoni. Diameter and slice count. So the norm is 14, 16. Slice count is 43 to 47 millimeter diameter. Multiple slice counts and diameters are available. There's a wide range out there without getting into all of them. The reason why you have that is different people like different ranges in terms of what they're putting on their pizza pie or what they're using it for. And we'll say this, going back to the first part, I left one back out that I learned. So part of my career was I did a pizza shop one summer in the Ocean City, Florida. And the owner at the beginning was bringing in a really inexpensive pepperoni, thinking he was saving money and just was good. wasn't just as good. Not only did it not taste as good, but it didn't perform as well. You buy a pepperoni, you're making pizza, especially if you're a busy pizza maker. Behind the line, you have to pass out the pepperoni, put it on the pie. It tends to be tacky and sticky if it's a lesser product. Because the right amount of beef and pork ratio helps it to not stick. The ingredients used, the type of casing, whether it's all dry or whether it's fresh ingredients, help it so that when you're putting that pepperoni, it's like dealing with pepperoni. And a good pizza man can do 3 or 4 pies twice as fast with a better pepperoni. So you're not really saving money because it's taking your pizza guy longer to put the pepperoni on, and he or she ends up putting more pepperoni on the pie by using a less expensive version. So you're not lowering your food costs. There's a lot of advantages to buying a quality product. Next, ingredient statements. So when you look on there, if you see pork and beef, it's 30% minimum beef. Very rare in the industry. We actually make that, but most of our pepperoni will say pork, beef. So according to the United States Department of Agriculture, when they slip the word "and" in there, that means 30% or more. If you don't see the word "and," that means it could be up to 95% pork and 5%. We're using an average of 18 to 20. And then pork, and then you also have blends with pork and then mechanically separated chicken and beef. You got rolled beef, and you also have what's called an all pork. Here's your, it shows you the diameters, it shows you the beef, the pork and beef, and it's hard to tell from the slide the colors, but there is a difference in color when you buy an all beef. It is going to be naturally redder because pork has that pigmentation that is lighter, and beef has a darker pigmentation. The all pork can get a nice red color, but the way to achieve that is by adding the right ingredients. So paprika is one of the most prevalent in terms of getting that richer red color. So then you see the stick pepperoni and the slice. And again, just by slicing that stick, you don't end up with the slice you see in the bag. Because the slice you see in the bag, you peel that first and then you slice it. So that it's a performance pepperoni, unless we tell you otherwise. And if it's still, you keep the casing on it and slice it, that becomes a cup and char or a cup and crisp. Cup and crisp has a special casing. The reason why we have cup and crisp is there are pockets like Detroit, the Midwest, that don't want the char, but they want the cup. That's another variety. Next slide. So there's your lay flat, no char, we call that performance. And there's your cup and char. And you can see that nice charred edge. And when you get that nice charred edge, that's when you know that your pie is ready. That's when you know that your pepperoni is cooked perfectly. It gets all the flavor of that pepperoni into the pie. It's absolutely delicious. Next slide. So cupping pepperoni, what is it? Stuffed in a natural collagen casing. When it's exposed to high heat, the natural casing contracts, causing the pepperoni to cup and either crisp or charred, depending on the formulation. Considered more flavorful by many due to the pools of spicy oil left in the cup. Other dry sausages, we want you to know about this because in most companies, and in our company, we're no exception, we add a lot of these products into a certain category because of the nature of the products. So, go to the next slide. The first is our Genoa salami, which is a lightly spiced, finely ground dry salami with a distinctive flavor. Dry sausage was perfected, but not invented, by the ancient Romans. There's a history of dry sauces starting there in Europe or anywhere else in Europe. They think it came from Asia, but it was perfected by the Italians, and Genoa developed a certain style that they've been making for a long time, since the Roman days. You'll notice it's made with a natural casing. It features pork and beef varieties. You can get an all pork variety, but pork and beef is the most popular. It's great not just for sandwiches, but for salads, snacks. You can do a lot more. These sausages dice, slice, and used in a lot of ways. People don't think about that. Next slide. Pork salami, naturally smoked Berman meat, a blend of pork and beef with a subtle hint of garlic. This rich smoky taste is best suited for snacks and sandwiches. Little fun fact, pork salami is not found in Italy. Pork salami is Germanic. Germany, Austria, Scandinavia. Those are the countries that perfected pork salami. It's a cousin to the Italian salumis or salami, but they tend to put less spice, less pepper in theirs. A richer blend of pork and beef, and flavor profiles just a little different. It tends to be a little drier and harder. Next slide. So supersada. This is a unique style of salami. If you go to Italy, if you were to go to Venice, the supersada is round on the sides but flat on the bottom and top. Only in Venice do they take the supersada, and when they're making the supersada, they don't hang it. They stack it on wooden planks, and then they put a plank on top of a layer. And then they put another layer of supersada, and another plank. And they'll do that 5 or 6 layers high and weights on the top. And then they dry cure and let it age. And then it gets that distinctive shape where it's part round but also part flat. But supersada is made differently. That's considered a local salami. The grind is usually bigger. It's a lot less popular now in the United States. Less and less people are ordering that, and less companies are making it. Because the Genoa is just as good, and it's more popular, and the finer blind pepperonis are what the States here tend to like better. They're easier to chew, better mouthfeel, and they're easier. The two principal types are cured style and uncured style of the supersada. And you'll see that when they do the uncured, it's strictly a drawing process. That's how they help preserve it. It won't last as long, but they're delicious still. You'll see that in artisan shops. You'll see that in gourmet places. Next slide. Deli stick meats. You'll see some sandwiches, but you'll see we have a charcuterie tray over there with some olives. You know, you could do a lot with the stick meats, which you see right here. Next slide. Our cooked sausage. So blended and seasoned and then slow cooked in ovens to seal in the natural flavor of juices. So let's go to the next slide. So you'll see here one of my favorite products, mortadella, the original bologna. Bologna is Germanic, but the original bologna came from Italy. That is mortadella. And mortadella is that style of taking the meat and grinding it up very fine and making it almost like, not a slurry, but making a really good emulsion and then add fat to it. That's why you see the white nodules of fat. Mortadella di Bologna carries a protected geographical indication status in Europe, and it's the pride of Bologna, the city of Italy. In Spain and Portugal, peppers and olives are often added, and in some places in Italy, you'll see it with pistachio. It says on the slide, it's finely ground and emulsified sausage with cubes of white fat. Sometimes whole or cracked black peppercorns and pine nuts are added. In this country, the first immigrants that came in, it doesn't tell you that on the slide, mortadella with pistachio was really, really popular. There's still some people who make it that way. Pistachios have become exceedingly expensive, so it's not quite as popular as it used to be. Next slide. Okay, our dry cured meats. So whole muscle meats, carefully hand trimmed, shaped, and cured, and then rubbed with salt, seasonings, at intervals throughout the months of long drying process. So prosciutto fits this category. Parma prosciutto is the finest prosciutto in the world. I'll be the first one to say it. Smithfield doesn't make it. We don't have it. We're not going to try it. It's a very specialized thing. It's absolutely delicious. Here in the States, we make a wonderful domestic prosciutto. This is absolutely delicious too. Less than half the price per pound. And it's great for sandwiches. It's great for dicing up. It's wonderful in a lot of applications. We don't want to spend the money to bring in an authentic Parma prosciutto. We used to actually bring in Parma prosciutto. But the demand is not what it used to be because the price is so high. European governments have all cracked down. There was a lot of fake farmer prosciutto coming out. A lot of people were bringing it over, sending it over here, and it wasn't really farming. And there was a difference. A lot of difference. Okay, next slide. Our cooked cured meats. So those are hand trimmed and blended and cured and then slowly cooked to perfection. So here you see capicola, and we have a sweet product here for you to see. So tender boneless pork shoulder is what's most commonly used. Cottage or Boston butt. There are other variations. The hot variation is rolled in red pepper and paprika. Sweet variation is rolled in black pepper. That's really the main difference. If you were to go to Italy, it really doesn't get much different than what we're telling you right there. It's great for charcuterie and sandwiches. This is still a very, very popular Italian. Our sandwich shops will base their specialty sandwiches on this variety of Italian. Next slide.
I think you're at your end.
Oh, we finished. So we finished the slides. We went over the facts about pepperoni, and you have an idea of how pepperoni is made and the deli meats in the process. We all follow that process of aging, drying, and then a lot of these items are smoked, and the cooked meats would not be smoked. But your salamis, your pepperonis, those tend to be better quality when they are smoked. Now, like I was telling you, we always had these leftovers back in 1992 at the restaurant. So we'll get our mise en place together when that's up. So I would use what I had on hand. We always had mirepoix on hand. So we would, I used mirepoix in so many recipes. I love mirepoix. Created soup, stews, mirepoix around. A little bit of diced onion. I pre-diced a beautiful mix of bell pepper, some red, green, yellow, whatever's on hand. For this recipe, we would do a blend of oil and a little bit of butter. What we do that adds a rich flavor. I love butter. Oil keeps it from burning, higher burning point. Butter adds that flavor and that richness. And I think when you're doing this type of sauce, people want it. This is more of an indulgent style of sauce. And this sauce came as an invention when I was in culinary school. Two of my favorite sauces that I learned to make were Alfredo and sauce supreme. I don't love sauce. I came home, my parents, my father wanted lemon glaze, my mother wanted hollandaise. Nope, I was in the kitchen making sauce. So saute the onion. As that starts to cook a little bit, we would add in the peppers. You can use bell peppers. I like these little sweet peppers, very few seeds in them. I just split them in half. I dice them up. I also garnish. I roast these. I fry these. They make a wonderful garnish on the plate. So we're cooking this. While that's cooking, take the pepperoni. Now you can cut this up. You can add it in the whole. You can julienne it. We're going to just a couple of ounces there. Now for making it for catering, like I did there, I add the pepperoni in the end. But if I'm making it a la minute, I'll add it in the beginning. The reason why I add it in the end there is because when I'm making a large batch, pepperoni has more fat in it than most other meats. So I don't want my dish to become too greasy and have too much grease. If I cook a la minute and I do it fast, I avoid that. So I get a little more caramelization on the pepperoni. I like fresh herbs. I like dry herbs. My broker happens to represent, if you don't use dry herbs, you want to use a good quality. Still has the essential oils. And what I mean by essential oils is, most people don't know when you buy dry spices, if you see it for less money, there's a lot of reasons for that. The number one reason is they're using older product. And spices don't tend to hold up well over time. They're not like wine, so they get better with age. Spices should be fresh too, even the dry ones. They have what's called essential oils. So we have some appointment products that we use. We use a little bit of dry along with the fresh. So I have some basil. I'll just ship it on to basil. Doesn't have to be fancy. We never cut our basil too much at a time ahead because basil, we feel, is better, holds up better, and you get more flavor out of it because of the moisture properties of basil when you add it in. Right when you're ready to use it. Let's start in the brown on the edges and look a little bit. That's what I'll add is fresh spice. It starts extracting the flavor of that. That's what I'll add the pepperoni right at the same time. This is a very fast dish. And that'll cook. We'll add in a teaspoon of the dry seasoning too. This has a little oregano, some thyme, some spices. I chopped up, I like fresh whole garlic cloves. I chopped some up earlier. We'll add in about a teaspoon of fresh garlic. Use dry, whatever you like. Cook a little bit. In the restaurant, we would add sauterne. Sauterne was our wine of choice. You can make it with or without alcohol. Up to you. As this is cooking, we're going to add in a little bit of stock. That's the ingredient that you would have used if you were making a sauce cream. Chicken, and a little tag and then your cream. So now this is reducing down. This doesn't have quite the BTUs that I'm used to, but that's okay. And then, by that chicken stock's reducing down, we'll add in a little bit of cream. That will reduce down. Then as this reduces down, the pink color, reddish color will start to come out of the pepperoni. And that's not just color that's coming out, that's also flavor. That flavor is wonderful. That's color immediately started to change in here. I can see it. Ready to come. And when this starts to bubble, starting to right around the edges, starting to go in the middle, that's what I'm looking for. That means it's tightening up. The portion that I made here is probably good for two lunch bowls. I would do this as a lunch special. So then you could use the pasta of your choice. There's a picture from years ago there with the string pasta, which is perfectly fine. I love rigatoni. It's one of my favorite cuts of pasta. What I like about this is you can control it better. So we'll add in some rigatoni, which you can have done ahead of time. Nice. Put that in there. I like to garnish a little bit of Italian flatleaf parsley. Parsley was standing up and was much fresher earlier, but that's okay. Try to get your stem out. Have it there. I learned from a chef from Italy years ago that if you're cooking with garlic, it's mandatory to use Italian flatleaf parsley. It's the yin and the yang. Parsley offsets the garlic and they complement each other. Now you can see it, but it's bubbling up, it's reducing down. The pasta's getting coated, the pepperoni is starting to puff up a little bit from the heat. I did a mix of pepperoni in here. I think I got some puppet shrunk. That's fine, doesn't matter. And I like to use fresh grated cheese because it melts faster. A couple of tablespoons of that. We'll let this reduce down some more. So We use the ingredients that you do for a supreme. We use the ingredients that we use for an Alfredo. We took an ingredient that people normally don't saute, pepperoni, added some beautiful pepper, which was one of the original ingredients. This is now tightening up really nice. It takes like a minute to tighten up. We used to make this dish in under 4 minutes in the restaurant. I used to time the dishes. So orders would come in, and this was very popular at lunch because people would come in at lunchtime and we want something fast. So now, to let this tighten up a little more, but what we're going to do is we're just going to clean it up. There it is. I'm going to garnish that. Basil. Basil's been sitting out a while. You get the idea. Put a little red pepper on the side. Take some shaved, shredded Parmigiano Reggiano. That'll melt on top. And that's it. Pepperoni Alfredo. A simple dish. You can add other proteins. You can add shrimp. You can add chicken. You can add crab. You can do whatever you want. Just, add them in at the appropriate time. We did this with chicken, shrimp. We would saute those proteins at the beginning, take them out, do the recipe, add them back in, fold it in, and serve. I hope you got something out of all this tonight. There's some literature here with pepperoni and some of our other popular toppings, information about women in the industry. We have some pepperoni Alfredo over here for you to try. We hope you enjoyed everything tonight, and thank you again for having us.
Who knew there was so much to pepperoni? I love to eat it, but I didn't. When you're cup and char, I'm like, is that a new? Hopefully, you all learned there was definitely a lot. We want to take some time specifically. Thank you, David, from our chapter to yours. Chris Ditlow once again did his magic.
My wife loves you.
I was gonna say I got your name a couple times on there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
She's got a
much.
picture here.
And thank you to the guys at Affinity. I can't do this without great support. So thank you to the guys at Affinity.
Yes, if you could stand for us, please. We have Mike McCoy, Mike
I'm
Bill.
nothing without them. If you don't have a
Yes.
good support team.
Yes. Good. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very
How about a
much.
huge round of applause? Definitely. Thank you so much, David. And we'll definitely get this this PowerPoint up on our website, and we'll send that out as well to share. So, David, you are the chapter president, correct?
I am the chapter president. I got out 6.5 years ago, and just when I thought I was out, I got me back in. Now I'm very proud. I am the chapter president of the Professional Chefs Association of South Jersey. Chapter, you guys, we just celebrated our 51st year
Wow.
as a chapter. We just had our 49th president.
Wow, that's great.
Very proud.
I'm guessing your meetings aren't on the third Monday of each month?
We always have our meetings on the second Tuesday of the month.
Oh,
And we always invite people to come. Our next meeting will be at the Atlantic Cape Community College Academy of Culinary Arts. They're hosting. That'll be the second Tuesday in April. If anybody wants to drive 3 hours, you're welcome to come as my guest.
well, thank you so very much. All of the samples, all of the education. I know you've got tons of promotional things up here, as well, some POS sheets, any information anyone needs. So any questions, certainly feel free to ask.
And those pizza cutters are sharp.
I was gonna say, he brought pizza cutters. If anyone did not get a pizza cutter, speak now. But he also brought some other pretty cool things. We talked about the specific door fries, as well as, it looks like some other things. So while we are, real quick, Chef Cher was giving a particular free door prize ticket to every single person that came through the door for your chance to win one of the Smithfield Culinary knives. Did anybody not get a ticket? You have 90 seconds to raise your hand. It's free. You don't need it. I mean, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. We got a couple more. Okay, so keep your hands up. She'll be around, but in the meantime, we have another group of individuals to thank tonight for hosting us. I certainly had a part of it, but I am one of many within a team. Thank you to Chef Chad. We have Brooklyn, Candace. Can all the HACC students please stand up for a moment? Whether you're a student, I know nobody heard me. May all HACC students please stand up for a moment, whether you're a student and an alumni, because I see there's a bunch. Because you never fully graduate from this program. You continuously come back. We've got them all. Okay, so as a thank you, and I'll present this to Chef Chad. Chris carved us also for the HACC All-Wine Center for us to put in our new classroom. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you to everyone.